it is over. I got everything packed up. As you can see behind me, camp has cleared out. Everything's packed and ready to rock and roll. Now I've got to make the double trip all the way up there to my truck, carrying this bag and that bag. But before I went, I wanted to just say some final words here at the site. Let's see how this works. I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. One, I had a lot of new gear that I've had for years. Some of it I had bought in the last 5 years, getting my bags ready, my bob and my get home bag, and had never tested it, which is something you need to do for those of you who have setting up bags. So I wanted to do that and learn some things. And then the other reason was just to get away and just experience nature by myself. It was challenging, to say the least. I camped, if you want to say that, tested my gear out for 3 nights out on my back deck, and totally different. My wife and I would stay up to our normal 10, 11 o'clock. Then I'd kiss her goodnight and I'd go out there and I'd climb in the hammock, and it was noisy. I had to put in earplugs. We're about 4 blocks off of a 6-lane road going through town, and so there was people blowing off parking lots, cleaning parking lots, sirens, train whistles, just normal noise all night long, and it kept me up. And so I had to put the earplugs in to make it through the night. And it would be uncomfortable trying to get my hammock all set out. But last night it started getting pretty dark. Like I stated, it was high, above the canopy. It was still kind of blue gray, but down here it was getting dark by 6 o'clock. So I went ahead and made dinner. 7 o'clock I was done, and it was just pitch black. And like I said, I hadn't planned on making a little campfire, but I needed to. I've seen those LED lights for hammocks, small. I think it's like 23 lights to put inside your hammock would be nice. And then one I looked at was, I think, 200 lights that you could put around the camp. That would have been nice. When I first saw them, I was like, man, what in the world do I need that? But after sitting out here last night, it would have been nice to have that illumination around me. Place to sit down is nice. Again, I didn't want to pack in a seat, but that might be something. One of those little small fold-up ones might be something nice to have. I got lucky and had this hard log to sit on. But then about 8 o'clock, just sitting here by myself. It'd been nice to have had somebody to talk to, but I didn't. And it's just like, well, I'm not used to going to bed till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and here it is only 8 o'clock, but I'll go ahead and go to bed. And got in the tent, or got in my bear cave and laid down in the hammock, and left my little lantern on for probably 10, 15 minutes till I cooled off, and got everything ready. Then I turned it off, and it was pitch black. At home, we have a rock. It's a piece of salt, I guess. My mother brought back from the salt mines in Spain, and it's pink, and we leave that on at night. And then we have a small fan that we turn on for some ambience, or white noise, I guess people call it. Here, didn't have either one. I could have left that lantern on low, but I didn't want to, and it was pitch black. Didn't matter if I had my eyes open or closed. It was pitch black. And then it was quiet. Listen now. Nothing. And so you get to hear every single snap, crackle, pop of the forest. And I don't know if you've been out in the woods and just sat and listened for a time being, but it's quiet. And you'll have it to where it's a living, breathing organism, and you got the trees leaning up against each other in the canopy. And so in a little bit of a breeze or just the temperature changes, they'll move and they'll snap and they'll pop. And so I heard that quite a bit last night, back up in this way, and Back in here, I think back to the south, I think there's actually something up in the bush or up in the trees, it sounded like, but because it was just a constant noise back in that way. So it might have been a porcupine or a raccoon or something. But so I kept hearing that, and then, like I said, the coyotes east of me back in the valley, they cut loose a couple or three times. First it was just a lone coyote, and then it was a pack, and then a pack again this morning. I think about 6 o'clock they let loose again. So you hear those, and then you'll just lay there and couldn't get comfortable, and so I'd wake up and I'd lay there for a while, and then I'd hear another noise, another pop, another snap. And so you really, I mean, doing this type of camping really takes nerves of steel because you're hearing things all through the night, and you're in underneath your tarp, and you don't know what's going on outside. You can't just flip the light on and and see. And so you just got to accept it and just listen to it. And I've been out enough sitting in the woods all day long, and I can get a feel of what the noise is. But for somebody who hasn't done it before, it's unnerving. It's something to think about before you just pack up everything and head out into the woods to do this. But it was my first time doing it like that, and it was different. I had a lot of stories flash through my mind. My niece and her husband went up into Alaska one time, and they were tent camping, and it was a bear area. Up there they've got grizzlies and all that, and she was awakened in the middle of the night by a bear sniffing up her back through the tent, and she got up and ran to the car, left her husband behind. But and you have stories like that that just pop in your mind of something peeking its nose up underneath your tarp. But it didn't happen. I was safe. I was sound. Finally got some sleep. I think the longest stretch I had was about 3 hours. Just trying to get comfortable. I got to lay my hammock. I'm going to put a adjustable ridge line on it, like somebody suggested on the Pacific Northwest Hammock Forum. I forgot his name right now. Sorry about that. But so I'm going to try that and see how that works. I'm going to be using my hammock next week for 2 nights. It's going to be indoors down in my basement. I'm having to go back to North Carolina to clean a house out to sell it. But and so I'm just going to take my hammock and string it in the basement and sleep in there. And I'm going to take my ridge line and adjust it and try it down there for those 2 nights and see how that works. But I don't have to worry about sound. I don't have to worry about bears eating me or anything else. Moose coming through the middle of the night, trampling you down. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. Learned a lot. I don't know if I would do it again like this just to be doing it. Like I said, I wanted to do a lot of filming. I wouldn't mind doing it with some other high hammockers up in this area if they wanted to get together and go someplace. I'm going to start doing a bunch of walking and hiking and figuring out how to do that, but getting the shape for it. But it was fun. The other thing I got to thinking about, when you camp like this, you're disconnected. When I was doing it at the house, I had my cell phone with me. I got down and laid down and pulled my phone out and started watching some videos and reading text and emails and things like that. But here, because I don't have any cell coverage, I didn't bring my phone. In fact, it's still sitting up in the truck charging. But I couldn't do that. And so I'm laying in bed. I could have brought a book and nightlight and read, but I didn't do that. But today's family is disconnected from family. They're all connected to their electronics. My wife and I'll be sitting in a restaurant, and we'll see a family, 5 or 6 people come in, and they're all walking in with their phones, thumbing, doing that thumb exercise, and and then they'll sit down and they continue doing the same thing. They're not communicating, anymore with each other. It's all electronic. It's all got a text. You got to, do your Facebook. And I get involved with that at home, doing the Facebook. But out here, you don't have that. You don't have any connectivity. You get back to nature. You get back to the way things were. And so that's another good thing. I read somewhere not too long ago to where you need to disconnect, a couple of days every couple of months, and just get your clock back on the right channel and get your life back on and get your priorities straightened out. And because when you come out here like this by yourself, pitch black, you find out what your priorities are. It's not texting, it's surviving. And so, but you know, I don't want to paint a big dark black picture on it, but that's just reality that you got to deal with. But so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pack up the camera and start that long hike up, and then rest up there, and then come back and grab the second pack and do it again. So anyway, it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. Wish you could have been here, but I'll go home today and start grinding these up and try to get them published today before I leave. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Well, as you can tell, I made it out. It took me 2 trips up the hill. Wasn't all that bad. I had cut a trail pretty close that was not as steep. I was just looking at my watch and it's 10:30 again. It was 10:30 when I came up here, so I was 24 hours up in the woods by myself. And I just wanted to show you the view. That's looking back towards Spokane itself, back in that area. This is the map of Spokane, Mount Spokane, and this is where we are now, coming up the hill. You go up this way up to Mount Spokane, go back this way to the ski area, and this private road goes back to the condominiums, and I went through there, and then on back is where I was at. But anyway, this is my view headed back home. I'll talk to you in a little bit.